One thing to remember when you're getting your food at a buffet is at the very beginning of the buffet, there's usually a place to pick up your silverware, and you might find it convenient right then to just wrap your silverware in a napkin if it isn't already done for you. And if you have a jacket on with a pocket, you might want to just put the silverware with the napkin around it in your pocket so that it's not in your hand the whole time that you're going through the line. The other thing to remember is that as you take your plate to fill it, unfortunately most buffet areas in restaurants have not been thinking about what you would do if you can't set that plate down and they don't have an area in front of the food for you to put your plate. So what you end up doing is balancing your plate between some of the big containers on the buffet table, and that works pretty well. You can just set your plate between them and go ahead and put the food on it, and then pick it up and go to the next place and set your plate down right on the corners where the pans intersect on the buffet table. If you're eating out at a buffet restaurant, or if you're at a party where there are snacks and you have a plate with your snacks, you also have a beverage, you might run into the problem trying to figure out how to get to where you want to go with both of these things. And one thing that you might try is to pick up your plate and just set it right on top of your glass. Works very well when you lift up the glass. You can even have your finger extended so that it's under the plate, so that the plate feels really stable to you. And it's very easy to walk with this, and it's not all that noticeable. And you can walk to wherever you want to go, and when you get there, you just do it in reverse, and you've got your plate and your beverage both with you. The other thing to think about when you're at a social event and people are standing around eating nice foods out of small plates, you will find that after you've filled up your plate and you've walked into a room with other people, that you were pretty much stuck just looking at your plate and thinking about how nice it would be to eat. So what I've found is that it's often convenient to walk up to a friend or spouse or somebody, and maybe they can hold your plate for a minute while you eat from your plate. This is sometimes necessary when you're in a really huge room with a lot of people. Usually you're in a small enough setting that you can look for a mantelpiece or look for a chair or sofa that's next to a small table or a coffee table. Usually anytime you can sit down, you can certainly put the plate on your lap and you can eat that way. The only time you're really stuck is when you're in a very large place with a lot of people and everyone's standing up. And in those instances, you might find that you'd like to just stick around the place where the food table is a little bit longer so that you can eat from your plate that way. And those are just some ideas that might work for you. Most food that you get, including most kinds of meat, is pretty easy to cut with the side of your fork. You very rarely need to really get in there with a sharp knife as well as a fork to cut your meat. If you're in a situation where you have a steak or something that really needs to be cut with a knife and a fork, it might be that the very best thing to do is to hand your plate to someone else and ask if they would mind cutting it for you. There are some times when there's really not a better solution, and you can rely on people around you, and they'll be glad to do it. And it's not a problem, and it happens very rarely.